But now, so I noticed you do a lot on Twitch. That's like
Yeah.
a big part of your kind of musical part of your musical career. Really, is that something was that like I suppose a kind of conscious thing you've been thinking about for a long time? Has it been something that you've noticed other people doing? You thought, I want to get in on that, or what was
I
it that got
think
you started on it?
yeah, I think I kind of I mean, obviously lockdown was the button pusher, but it started off just as something I'd always been interested in since I was like a teenager. I always wanted to have like an ability to, mainly it was when I was young. I used to have these amazing jams with my friends from the music school I went to, the Brit school. We used to have these absolutely amazing jams, and I always wished that I could share that with the world, share that moment, because it was always really special. So I had this idea when I was younger of like, Mike shared jams as like something where people could tune in and see that, because I thought, well, it's a cool vibe. I'm sure people will be interested in it. But back then, nothing like Twitch existed or anything like that. So it was just like, if the form factor were ever there. Anyway, I shelved that idea and I'd kind of forgotten about it completely. And then lockdown hits, and a streamer called Mr. Greggles gave me the information I needed to just learn how to stream anything, because I tried doing a gaming stream and my screen was just like less than 1 frame a second. And I just didn't understand it. And he told me about how encoders work and how to use a graphics card encoder instead of the CPU one. And that meant that I could actually stream a game. And then so I just streamed zombies for a bit because I was just bored. I didn't know what else to do. And I'd been so excited about touring again and doing things with Monuments. And then all of that it felt like everything got shut down. So it was kind of just a depressed guy sitting in his room playing zombies. And then I didn't even know about Twitch's like affiliate program. But then before I knew it, I'd actually hit that goal, which meant that it could become monetized. And so I then started mucking around with musical things, and then I kind of fell back in love with that idea of that original dream. And then ever since then, I mean, I think I've been an affiliate for like 22 months now. I've got some subscribers who have subscribed every month for 22 months. And it's like, it blows my mind. But now I can't imagine my life without it. The hard part now is doing it while doing the real world stuff again. You know what I mean? Like it's really easy to do it when you're not doing anything else. It's really hard to take streams on the road. There's a definite issue with like being able to set things up. And as well, I'm doing session stuff a lot of the time. The last thing that most session clients, I hate using that word, but you know what I mean, like musicians I'm featuring with or playing for, they don't give a shit. They just want me to do that particular job. But Dan Tompkins was, because he's another streamer and I played with him recently, I streamed like our rehearsal, and that was like the first time I'd actually I'd done it. I'd brought the Twitch crew into the actual world, and it felt great. But the quality had to be so low, and it had to be such a quick setup. But I think with Monuments, we're also streaming a lot now, and it's really fun to actually put the time in and make it look and sound really good, and the fans are really loving it. Like it's actually incredible how well that's been going. So
yeah, I think it's wicked. I hope I've got my foot in the door. I've got the affiliate thing, but I'm still kind of
congrats.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm kind of just trying to. I've taken a bit of a break from it recently. I've just been very busy with various things, but yeah, I really hope it's for maybe not just music, for all sorts of industries where content is king, where you can start to. I think it's so destructive, this kind of 15-second content reel thing, especially for people where traditionally musicians will work towards an album or like some sort of bigger release, and it's like, if you ask Led Zeppelin to release 15-second short videos of their alongside making an album, I do wonder, would their album have suffered? And I like the idea that
yeah, but then again, those times were different. There weren't as many artists. Now there's more music than you couldn't play every song that was ever released as it came out and keep up with it. I think it's something ridiculous. Like, you'd have to actually speed the music up like 100 or 1,000 times in order to consume as much music as is being created. So, and it's not just music, the internet's made it so that anyone can create, which is amazing for the creative industries. I think it's a really good thing. It just means there's too much to get through. But yeah, like the form factors shrunk because there's so much more stuff. And if Oh,
Yeah, don't worry. It's just there you go.
okay.
I was just starting
Yeah.
something up.
So yeah, like if you find that 15 seconds or that even that 5 seconds that really resonates with you, then you're probably, it depends on, and I really hate to be all markety about it, but like ultimately there's a funnel involved, and it's like you got caught in that ring of the funnel. And if you're interested in taking a dive in and seeing what's going on there, like a lot of people think of the funnel as a bad thing, but for me, I love the rabbit hole. If I find something I love and it's the narrative is resonating with me, the person has, my values are in line with that person's, you know, all these things are natural. They don't have to be exploited. It's just how we like things. It's how we fall in love with things. And music it falls into that category. So then if that 15 seconds makes me want to listen to the album, that's an album listened to that just wouldn't have been listened to otherwise. So I actually see it the other way around to you. It's not destructive to me. It's just, you know, everything happens for a reason. And the only reason it's popular is because it's popular. The more popular it is, the more people want to make the most out of it. So we can look back to the 80s and go, it should be like it is then. But anyone who's using that now is going to suffer for it because people have moved on. Everything is different now, and it is hard to adapt. Like, I think the idea of reskilling is now a thing that since I started becoming a streamer, and like now I'm really like aware and constantly, I might even be going over the top in how fast and how intensely I'm reskilling to stay up and even try and push ahead of the curve, try out new things, just because I enjoy it so much. But I think it's a good thing. I think the amount of focus there, like, and I've fallen in love with TikTok as well for this reason, because it's like, you know, I can just scroll through, have a couple of laughs, find something that actually inspires me. But even if I don't immediately go, that drummer was sick, that name is probably going to stick in my head. And the next time I see something, another short form or even a medium form, I'm more likely to want to watch that because I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this guy. Like there's a drummer called El Esteban Superior. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but I think he's a Spanish guy, and he plays these super muffled sounding drums, and he does these covers, and he plays so damn fast and so damn powerfully. And it's like, the first thing I saw of him was 5 seconds long, and now if I see a video come up of his, I'll watch the whole song. And if he puts out a record and I see it, I'm probably going to listen to the whole damn thing because I've fallen in love with what he's doing, you know. So I think it's a good thing. It's easy. It's hard to feel like it's cool to stay up to date with it. It's easy to get stuck into the mindset of like, you know, fast is bad, but it actually benefits the process. As long as you respect the process, then you can see how it works in that regard.
I think my sort of, the way I kind of look at it is, I think it's beneficial for the marketing, not purely the marketing side, but I think, you know, like you said, if you catch a short little clip, that might just be that little spark that makes you go, oh, that was really cool, and it catches your attention for that short second, and then you might pursue that person or whatever it is that you've just followed. I think for me, it's more about interrupting the creative process. I think that I find it difficult personally. Maybe I get too far down the 15-second video rabbit hole, maybe, but I think for me, I find it interrupts the process a little bit, and thinking about writing music, and there's that constant thing, oh, I've got to put out some sort of content to keep people interested while we're writing all this music, you know, because obviously it's hard to write. You can't just write an album in a day, or some people can, but, you know, so to be sort of producing this sort of longer form content alongside the shorter form stuff to keep people engaged along the way, I find that personally quite difficult, but I do agree with you in some senses, because I think it allows musicians and just artists in general to explore different avenues. There are loads of bands nowadays that are really involved with all of the other aspects of the creative sort of outlets in terms of like music videos, or just on like interacting with the fan base in an interesting way. I do think it's useful for that.
Definitely. I think it's also really good to focus on what it is you're trying to communicate, as opposed to falling prey, as a lot of us do, to the pressure of staying relevant that is only perpetrated by the platforms themselves. Like, nothing about putting something out or like making, this is the thing I think is like where we've been trained my monkey see monkey do by algorithms to feel like our long form isn't valuable because we're seeing so much short form and so much instant gratification. So yes, in a way it can cheapen the long form, but only if we allow it to. And I'm not saying it's a small deal or it's easy to do, because we're fighting against the most advanced tech that's ever existed that has one goal, and that's to wager our attention span against something financially. And it's so powerful, we are complete slaves to it. So like, you got to be quite self-forgiving in that regard, because we don't stand a chance unless we remind each other that the long form does matter. We don't need to be relevant every second of every day. Just because we're seeing other people being relevant, that's designed in a way to make us feel and to prey on our like feeling of I'm not getting enough done for myself. They're making money off that feeling, and that feeling makes you make more stuff, which just feeds the cycle. As opposed to if you can make your own goals and post towards those goals, and actually like take your long, find the attention-y bits that you want people to, you want to like leave them a trail of breadcrumbs, and then those who are interested in that will then follow it. It's very easy, and it's extremely difficult to get away from the idea of I'm not doing enough, and it's really damaging. And I really resonate with you on that. It's insanely difficult, because the more attention, the more that there's more at stake, so it becomes harder. Like the more people who are doing it, so it can feel like an endless battle. But having a plan and sticking to a goal and working towards that, and incorporate some growth into that if you want that. But these things, it's something that Mick Gordon taught me. Third party through a YouTube video of his that I saw from GDC 2016 or something, the Games Developer Conference. Changed the
I think I've got two things in my head, and I'm going to try and say them both without forgetting either one or the other. So the one thing is still on the same topic. I've already forgotten the second one. Anyway,
it's all good. It's all good.
It's all it goes. So the I'm sure I remember. No, I've remembered. So the first thing was do you ever see that movie In Time, the one where they've got the time on the? Well, I mean, I think I saw a bit of it. I saw the concept, where they have the time that like life left basically on the arm, and they pay, you pay for a coffee with like 4 minutes or something, or and you sort of tap your arm, and I kind of feel like in some ways it almost feels like, because there are so many things you don't pay for nowadays. This will be on several platforms that you don't have to pay for, but you do have to pay in your time and your attention with advertising. Or with however they kind of, I think it's mainly advertising, to be fair, is the main sort of way that these companies
attention levered against advertising with a few things. It's something I learned. I really loved the Netflix show, the social dilemma. It's
interesting.
I don't know if you saw that as well, but that kind of broke the illusion. It broke the fourth wall. It was like there was a mirror that I was staring into, and it's like as soon as I watched that, glass just shattered. I'm still not getting off of it. Like, I still like it, but I like knowing what it is now. It's such and anyone who's listening who hasn't actually checked that out, do watch The Social Dilemma if you want a bit of just give yourself a fighting chance against this. If this is resonating with you, just follow that, because it's actually amazing. It really helped me a lot mentally as well.
I can see that. I mean, the way I kind of think of it is a phone is a tool, right? And if when was the last time you picked up a tool other than your phone just to have that tool in your hand and to sort of look at it? You wouldn't pick up like you wouldn't sort of do some work on your wall, drill some things into your wall, and then just sort of walk around staring at it's
right.
More complex
like PDAs have existed since the 90s, but no one just sits there on a PDA. No one just sat there on their BlackBerry until there was someone to text, some emotion to leverage against the time. It's like you're totally right. I keep thinking about how hilarious it is that PDAs never caught on, and yet this is just a PDA. It's all it is. It's a personal digital assistant, but they were so out of fashion. It's so funny how pointless everything is when you think about how dumb that is, that they weren't a thing until it became this. And it's just I find that really interesting, because the only difference in the devices is the content and the platforms in which you can exist within, because the actual tech was always there.
It sounds like you've got kind of quite a lot of that kind of intrinsic motivation to do this stuff. What do you think it is that kind of motivates you to I mean, this is rather a big question.
Oh yeah, but thankfully it's one I've got a good answer to, and it's one that
amazing.
a lot of people don't know why they do it. And for a lot of my life, I didn't know what it was that was driving me. But in the especially in around about 2017, I started to realize, because I'd left Monuments because of my injuries, and I'm now back with them, of course. But yeah, I went through another band called Disperse, and I had a really, dare I say, spiritual experience when I realized that the reason I do what I do is because I love that moment where what you're doing is, and it's not necessarily about me performing, but it's, you're in a room with someone and it's like we're both watching something amazing happen, and it's not got nothing to do with skill level or anything. It's an energetic thing, right? I'm in a room with someone who has been having a bad day and is having a better day because they're feeling like what they're experiencing is elevating them. But it goes both ways. If I'm the performer, I'm still experiencing, either them experience me, or I'm more likely I'm experiencing my own abilities get heightened, and my own emotional experience and energetic experience level up, multiply, like almost infinitely, for the fact that there's a bunch of people together just feeling inspiration and togetherness and something magical and amazing. And in my mind, it's almost like everything turns to this incredible, like, ultraviolet purple sheen. And it's like the third, it's really like, and I'm not like an astrologist or whatever it is, like, but it does feel like there's some special moment where you experience something that just makes you go, holy shit, yes, this is amazing. I wish I could live in this area for forever, and the idea that then helps me to continue wanting to do it is that little bit of inspiration that you gave someone or that you received, it's like ripples. If you drop a stone, you'll get this tiny little ripple, but enough little ripples in the right timing becomes a huge wave. It can become a turning point for people's lives. And it's not for the change that it makes, like the specific change, but it's just knowing that I'm part of the balance of good for someone's day makes me so happy, as it does for me to have my day improved by, or my state of mind and my state of being enhanced by something extraordinary and something emotionally awesome. And music just does that for me. Maths does it for some people. Physical art, does it for other people. Architecture, just sometimes some people see like a diamond and it makes them feel something that I'll never feel. But that happens to me with music. So it's just chasing that, making your life as beautiful as you can in any moment. And then I'm so into trying to understand it intrinsically, what is going on, because I'm just trying to experience that to its highest point. And if that means, and if everyone's currently into something that I'm not into, I'm going to look and find out, what is the thing about this that's making this so wonderful, because I want to be part of that to a degree, unless the energetic nature of it is kind of like I'm at odds with it, which happens a lot on TikTok because there's some weird shit on there. But again, the algorithm on there is really cool, because if you don't like something, you skip past it, it's just going to stop showing you it. And so it's like an echo chamber for, the thing that you're into, but it still throws curveballs more than anything else. And it's still more seeing other people do things than it is seeing advertisements, I think. Or for some reason, I feel like I can skip ads easier on there, which is nice. But you're right, it's a deep question, so it was a deep answer. But
that's good. It's a good answer. Yeah. I think I suppose there are no good or bad answers, are there? But it was no. That's I like your way, the way you describe it, and the way that you kind of I think it's that, you were saying you're no sort of in sort of astrology or any of that stuff, but in terms of that experience of that shared experience that you have. I mean, the scientists would call that sort of flow, wouldn't they? That kind of, or for you yourself, and because when you're playing live, or even if you're just in that, or even if you're just being creative in your own space, or if you're recording or whatever it is you're doing in that world, you're pushing yourself to that edge of your ability, or you're really giving it your all, and that's when you almost weirdly switch off and you can just enjoy the moment. If everything's going right,
the subconscious takes over completely. Yeah. like the psychology of it's really interesting when you, because the subconscious has no words, the conscious has all the words. So if your mind's gone quiet, it's a good sign. It means your subconscious is killing it, and it's you and your conscious mind trusts it to do it. I perform the best when I'm thinking about something completely unrelated in a kind of a non-caring form, like what am I going to eat for dinner later? Because it's like I trust that this all knows what it's doing, and that subconscious can only respond to imagery, feeling, sound, and and imagination or visuals and things like that. So it's it makes total sense that flow state is amazing. But it's also, just to take a quick dive into something stupidly
deep. You can dive into whatever.
But I'll try not to flow off on it for too long, because I could talk about it for hours. But it's we're all just the universe experiencing itself, right? I don't exist as much as you don't exist. If I am me, then I'm one entity, but I'm biologically millions of entities.
I'm just controlling Joe Rowley. I'm not.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing. So like, and I don't expect to, it have a next life. I don't expect anything like that. This is a unique experience, but it is just the universe experiencing itself, and that's that beautiful moment where performer and audience are both the same person watching each other without even realizing it. It's just I'm physically behind a drum kit, but I'm doing something that I couldn't do if it wasn't for the people watching me. That's why I love Twitch so much, is that because I've got like over there, my screen is right in front of the kit, and I can do better performances watching people vibe off of what I'm doing. And I can feel it through the damn screen just by seeing a chat. It's crazy. It just feels like, it feels really special. And it wouldn't work if I just tried to fake that. You can't just put on a fake light show and feel the same thing. But that's why I do a lot of live recording sessions on there, because assuming the artist I'm playing the music for doesn't mind the music being heard in its early form, they usually like that as well, because it becomes kind of like marketing and hype anyway. But like, it just feels awesome to sit there and play this music, and knowing that I've got people who are experiencing it with me just makes me perform better, makes me feel happier, and just makes me feel like there's a point to it all. Put me in a room and just make music and never communicate or connect with the people who are going to listen to it. And it happens over and over again. I just sit and do nothing, and I don't know why I'm like completely unmotivated, but I'm just better when I'm around people, because it's all about that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about getting the wheels turning. Like, you sit there and you feel unmotivated, so you don't go and do those things, because you don't feel like you got the energy to. And the reason you haven't got the energy to is because your energy comes from doing those things. And I think it's all too easy, especially the way we're all a little disconnected in some ways nowadays. I think it was very easy to be. So a lot of these things that can make you happy, I think a lot of people don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot by not engaging in certain things that they know. I know if I sit around for a day not playing guitar at all, I'll just have a day off, like where I'm doing something, or it'll be a purposeful, like, I'm not doing guitar today, but I'm doing something that I want to do, like, for a good reason. It's an intentional, like, time away thing. But if I sit there on a day that I feel like I really should be playing, gets to the end of the day and I think, oh, I feel rubbish. But I had all that relaxing time away. It's like, no, you get your energy, I think, from doing those things. And I think
sometimes you got to recuperate as well. Sometimes you've got to be watering some kind of garden, some kind of plant all the time. And whatever you're putting your energy into is the thing that's going to grow. So if the energy is going into the I wish I was doing, then it's not, then you're still not doing. But it's not as easy as just switching it over. There's something wrong with that process. And I think for me, I've had more therapy in the last 2 years than I've ever had in my whole life. And that has really helped me to actually start to understand what the flags are. Because a lot of the time you'll just sit there, you won't be doing it, and you'll be like, why am I not doing it? There's an answer to that question, but we don't have access to that answer. Most of the time, I don't think we have it by default. Some people might, and amazing. I'm so happy for them. But we sit in this funk, and it feels like a knot or like a nasty stormy cloud. And sometimes the wrong therapist, or any therapist, you don't even want to dip your head above the fucking clouds. That's scary. Like, you want to get there, but you'd actually rather stay where you are, because at least you know that, like, diving into the unknown. And I'm trying to advocate for it because it's helped my life so much to understand, and also to not beat myself up if I'm taking more downtime than I expected. It's like knowing that I'm actually watering that garden and I'm doing it for tomorrow, or working a better 5 days than I could do, or trying to bust my ass 7 days in a row. These things, if you can see it objectively, you can really appreciate what you're doing for your general productivity as well as your mood and everything, and you're actually benefiting all the time, and then you can actually enjoy that time off. But yeah, it's a deep thing. Everyone's got their own, their own guilts or their own things that they've picked up along the way through parents, through life or whatever. And therapy's maintenance. It's boring, it sucks to do, but it can become beneficial once it starts feeling like, what, this is actually helping me and my life feels better for this. So yeah.
I think the something that I found quite interesting, I don't know if you ever, this is going to sound like I'm totally devaluing everything you said, I promise I'm not. Do you ever watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
that's where that therapy quote comes from. That like therapy is. That what
yeah, that's what
it was literally. I was just wondering, for those who watch Rick and Morty, it stuck with me. I love that scene.
No, it's a great scene.
It might be the pinnacle moment of the whole series for me. Actually,
Ooh.
I think it might be. Rick is sitting there as a pickle and just having his ass handed to him, and that's how it feels, right? You had the choice. You choose to be the pickle, but like,
don't be the pickle. That's today's life lesson.
Well, why? Or understand why you're being the pickle and be okay with someone just spelling it out for you, because sometimes we need it spelled out for us. We've got to have that conversation to take it out, get it out of, stop feeding a cyclone. And I if you couldn't tell by now, I'm everything's kind of like, anything meaningful is a metaphor or an imagery of some kind, because my subconscious can relate to that. So I feed that more, almost comically at this point. But there's one thing that a good friend of mine, Maxi Kono, taught me, and it was that when you're in a bad energetic place and you're trying to get better, one of the things you've got to bear in mind is that you're like a snow globe. You've shaken up all the snow. If you stop shaking the snow globe, it would be stupid to imagine that the snow globe, all the snow just immediately falls to the ground, right? It's going to float for ages. That energy, it has trajectories, every piece of snow, and that's how the emotion feels, right? So just realizing that it's going to take time for all of that to settle to the ground, and then you've got that peaceful environment, or even just a slightly less turbulent mental environment. It's the same thing as chemically, you can stop producing XYZ hormone that's making you feel worse, but you're not going to immediately flush your system. There's no way that everything can drain that quickly. It's got to run through and switch around. And it's going to take some time, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, a day. Sometimes it's a week. It really depends on what the imbalance is. And it's this isn't something that anyone ever taught me. So I was never to know that. But that really helps me, knowing that, okay, I can trust that I'm on the right path to start feeling better. Feeling better is going to make me pick up that guitar. But I'm doing the right thing now, and I'm not ready to do it yet. But I'm doing the right thing because I'm now investing. I'm watering that plant. I'm feeding my energy into that thing that is going to calm this thing down. It's really hard to know what that one thing is, but as long as you're moving in the right direction, it's okay. It's just, how can you even do any of that process unless you even are aware of what's going on? And I've spent all my life not knowing what is wrong, so if I don't know, how can I possibly feed it in the right direction? Not to get too overwhelming on that one subject, but everything kind of comes down to that, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah. Is there interestingly, I know this applies to a lot of creative people, but I'd imagine it applies pretty universally. Do you have anything else in life that gets that kind of, where you can get into that, I don't want to say flow state, because that implies a sort of a sense of well, I suppose, yeah. Do you have any other pursuits, anything like that kind of you get? Because I mean, I think I enjoy, like, for example, I really enjoy climbing.
Sick.
It just I don't know why. I think it's that challenge. It's the physical challenge, but it's like, I don't like just lifting weights up. I like having to figure it out. This is why I used to do a lot of martial arts as a kid, and I used to I need to get back into it, really, because I haven't quite lost it yet, but if I give it a few more years, it's going to go down the drain.
Maybe you can always pick it back up, but yes. And on top of having other things that I get into flow state for, I think, and I'm careful with what I say here, because I don't know, because it's an unknown, but I'm waiting for diagnosis on an ADHD assessment, and I'm going to be waiting probably for forever, because it's just a bit too expensive for me to get privately. But because now I've done all this research, again, thanks to things like TikTok and Facebook, I've watched videos about what flow state is in ADHD people, what executive dysfunction is when you want to do something and you just can't do it, and you know you need to do it, but you're not doing it, what time blindness is, and why, holy shit, that sounds like the thing I've been suffering from, my whole life. And again, I can't say that I have it, but I can say that every time I see a bit of support about the thing, it helps me immeasurably. And I've stopped beating myself up about things I'm bad at, like time management and budgeting and all these other, like it's like textbook almost. So yeah, there are other things that I love that for. I didn't used to have anything like that because I used to be so hyper fixated on music all the time. But yeah, that kind of birthed the environment that led to me getting injured, in that I wouldn't stop. Even if I was feeling pain, I would keep going. In fact, the more pain I would feel, the harder I would play. So that's why I didn't have any hobbies until about 2016, 2017. I started to discover there's a life outside of music, because my body was literally like, I physically can't. And even then I was trying to work out keyboard drums because it was like, at least I can still do it. But then right now, I think coffee is a big one. Okay. I really love particularly espresso, because it's like climbing in a way, but all you're trying to get to is a great tasting drink experience. But the mechanics of getting to that point involve pressure management of a pump that can hit a certain level of pressure, and then an amount of resistance that a kind of fineness of coffee grind can resulting in like a pour that can be a measurable ratio that ends up with a certain amount of grammage out versus a certain amount of grammage in a certain amount of time. And the variable, it's so fun because, I never waste a cup. I'm not as into it as in like, if it doesn't come out perfect, I'm not going to drink it. Some people do. I think that to me is too far, but everyone finds their sweet spot. But now I have this nice coffee rig and I find nice beans, and I have this process, and I've actually now got a manual grinder, because it was as much as I spent for my electric one, I spent on a manual one, and now I'm physically grinding it, which is waking me up a bit, and it's tasting insanely good. And I'm like, I just really like it because I can get out, and it's great because I can take that break in a way I used to be able to do when I smoked. Both, I used to be really addicted to weed as well, and I'm so glad I quit that. But it gives me that space away from whatever the hell else I was doing. And I can, because it takes so much focus, it's like the perfect break, as long as it's not also over caffeinating me. I'm really sensitive to caffeine these days. There are a few
trade-offs,
yeah, but I also have decaf beans, like that are mountain water decaf, not chemical decaf. So it's like, God, I'm really going on a tangent on this, but I had really good coffee today is making me tangent out like crazy. I love it. But yeah, so I'll probably have myself another one of those in like an hour, because I know I'll still be able to get to sleep after a stream tonight at a certain time, because I've kind of timed it all quite nicely. But again, I'm aware of how I'm feeling, so I know how good that is for me. But I also love TV. I love like Star Trek. Currently watching The Expanse and loving that.
I've never watched Star Trek.
I don't blame you. There's a lot of stigma about it, but if you want to watch something for 40 minutes and come out feeling better, and especially seeing something that imagines the best side of humanity, Star Trek, like The Next Generation, the one with Patrick Stewart, is amazing because it'll attack some kind of humanitarian issue through metaphors of aliens and everything. It's not about the ship or the laser or the shield or the tech thing. It's all a people story, and it's all a people story tied into what would it be like if humanity were at its highest potential, where there's no money, no greed, no nothing. You've always got the person with that side of it, and then there's something, either an alien culture or an internal matter where someone is not okay or struggling in a certain way, and different Star Treks have different sides of struggles and it's always searching for that best version of yourself to attack that problem with. And that just leaves me feeling great. It's getting grittier. The newer Trek's very gritty, but it's amazing for the disadvantaged as well. Like ever since the original series, it was the first time that a woman of color was on the bridge as a senior officer, like having responsibility. That inspired people like Whoopi Goldberg, who then, they saw the character Lieutenant Uhura on TV and it made them feel like they could do it. Now we've got non-binary and transgender characters within it, which it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make someone feel like, thank you, I needed this. I needed to see someone actually be valued and have their pronouns respected, have their transitional journey be respected. It's people don't get that in life a lot, so that show does it for them. And that's where Trek for me still feels different from Star Wars. Not that Star Wars isn't great, it just doesn't quite hit that way for me. But I recommend it for that sense. You can tell how into it I am. I've rewatched like almost every version of it, like 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 times, because it's the thing I know, and there's so much of it and it intertwines so perfectly that rewatching has great replay value.
Yeah, I think a film I saw recently that weirdly, it's the first film in a long time where I saw the film and I wasn't massively taken by the film itself, but I really loved the message behind it. Where have you seen Arrival?
I haven't, no.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah, well, you can give me the premise, because I love the premise, and I don't want to know where it's going to go after the first 10-15 minutes. But if that premise is sick, then I'm in.
Okay. Okay. I won't explain what my thoughts were on it because that will spoil it. Probably.
Right. Okay. I see.
The premise is aliens arrive on Earth, and it's about the struggle to communicate with them. And
maybe I have seen it. I'm not sure.
I've forgotten the name of it. Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams, is that her name?
I might not know them by name, but I'm just going to look up Arrival 2016 film.
Yeah, it's I believe it's
I think I have seen it. I think I know how it ends as well.
Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner. But anyway, I won't go into the message.
It's a self-discovery film, isn't it? It always is. It always is. Yeah. No. For the sake of anyone who's listening, we won't go further into that. Yeah, it was good.
They've been given a solid minute and a half of before there's a spoiler, so it's your own fault at this point.
Nah, I mean, it's any alien film is all about something humanitarian and self-discovery, so it's not really a spoiler in that sense, because it can't not be, because the alien is always a metaphor for something. If it's a horror sci-fi, then it's a scary alien, like Alien or Aliens. Alien. Or Life. That film's fucked up. Seen that. Oh dude, don't. I haven't got past half an hour into that, and I won't continue to watch it. That's hideous. I don't like that kind of space horror. I do love Sunshine. That's an amazing film because it's more psychological. It's bit of a horror vibe to it.
Is Matthew McConaughey in that?
No, the guy who's in Peaky Blinders, the Irish guy.
That's who I was thinking. Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. Yeah, he's amazing in that. It's a great film. It's disturbing, but in an isolationist survival kind of way. And I love isolation survival, especially in sci-fi. Battlestar Galactica is one of my favorite series of all time. 2001 remake, of course. Not great. If you're into the idea of survival and isolation and the kind of sci-fi that you don't have magic, you've got a hull and it's physical, and if things shoot it, you get bullet marks. There's no force field or transporter. It's all very tactile. And in that sense, in fact, one of the premises of Battlestar Galactica is that that Battlestar, which is like the highest form of battleship, but in space, it's the one where they beat the robots by having no network, because the robots could fuck up a network, but they can't fuck up a Battlestar with no network components. So they look backwards in order to beat the tech. But that's not a spoiler, because that's you find this out in the first fucking 5-10 minutes of the first episode. It's the old.
I don't know. A lot goes over my head. You might have just spoiled the whole thing.
No, because that's just what happens in before the show even starts. There's another Cylon robot war before that even starts. So that's again, we're just talking about premise.
No, this is cool. I think talking about the it sounds like we're different in some ways, because you talked about, I'm going back to coffee now. We've gone nowhere near music, but I think
we're into the creative space and the creative mindset.
Snare rolls and stuff anytime. So
yeah.
I suppose it's not a very complicated thing to ask anyway. But
it depends what kind
I'm
of
a
a role it is.
guitarist. Let me have my thing.
Oh, dude, go for it.
No, so the what was I going to say? Yeah, we're quite different actually in one way, because you talked about like the enjoyment of putting together the coffee and it's quite, you've done it quite creatively, it sounds. But for me, I'm not the kind of person, and this can even go back to the climbing. There are certain things in life where I just want to know how to do it, not because I'm lazy, more because my brain does this thing, and I don't know if it's something that I would say is anything wrong with it, but it's just, I always do this thing where I go like, if I can just have the best version of that thing, I'm not so interested in figuring out how to get there, which I don't think is the same as a song, because I think writing a song, because when you write a song, there's no objective best. You just write.
It's about the process,
it's an output, yeah, and you output different things each time. So I'm not. I don't feel it ties into that. But like with coffee, with all your things you were talking about, with your like finding the pressures and the balancing everything out. To me, I'm just like, if someone could just tell me the perfect, like,
right, you just want to finally experience the end point, because maybe because you're just tired of the journey and you just need a bit of what is this all for?
It sounds so like
you need a break from the journey.
But yeah, there are certain things I think if it's not, but like with the climbing, a lot of people love figuring it out. I just love knowing how to do it and trying to do it, which I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if that just says like I hate Sudoku.
Right, I love Sudoku. There's a new form of Sudoku I got into called Killer Sudoku, and that's like another level of grids of extra. But like it, and I've actually done a couple where you've given like one number and you've got to do 2 or 3 numbers across the whole thing, and you've got to work the whole thing out. I love that. If it's in a digital form, I love that. I'm never doing it physically, because by the time I realize what I fucked up, I've just got to rub the whole thing out. But digitally, it's great. So yeah, this is the thing. This is how amazing it is that the minds of people can be so different, and like we can get stuck in our own head about I love this. So obviously, it's not like everyone else must love this, but someone else must love that. So this is where we have some common grounds, but we also might attract different kinds of people. Say we both, running our own like things that develop communities and develop conversations within those communities. They're going to be intrinsically different, because you're going to resonate more with potentially with other people. But we have this great common ground, which is music, and and then if we love the same bands, it's amazing, because we might not at all love them for the same reasons, but we still love the same outcome.
Might be the little bits about them that I go, I don't like that bit.
Yeah, but that's the magic of the universe experiencing itself, because it's everyone's seeing something slightly different, and it's the communal experience that matters, not my opinion or your opinion. The fact we have different opinions is all that matters. That's the only thing that makes any of it interesting, because then the discussion is what's happening. And I just accidentally hit stop on my recording, but I can fix that. That's fine.
I mean, I'm yet to. Well, I say I'm yet to encounter any problems. I suppose the whole point is I would only know afterwards.
So yeah, it's just split into 2 files because I got excited and hit my spacebar.
That's all right. I thought of a really terrible joke, which was that they should have a Marshall Sudoku that goes to 11. It's just really terrible. Sorry.
I love that. That's
really bad.
It's meta as well. I like that. I'm going to give you another clap, by the way, just because I've got new sync. Because you got one video file to 2 audio files. You kind of need that. I don't even know if you saw it. So there you go.
I saw it. I saw one of the hands. And
just wanted to make sure that you actually could see the connection point, because it helps when you're putting video and audio together, as I have learned through doing it wrong so many times.
Yeah, I'm like, for example, I tried doing YouTube videos for a while, and I found I'd spend like an hour. The concept was, and I enjoyed doing it, and I still do it, but like on Twitch now. The concept was I would pick a riff or as much of a song as I can get through in an hour and rewrite it in my own style, being quite fairly strict to like, I'd be like, okay, well, it's in this kind of time feel, it's got these kind of chord ideas in it. It's got these sort of tonal ideas. Try and rewrite it in an hour, and then I do that. So I do it in an hour, pure film the whole thing, and then to edit an hour of footage, you need obviously a minimum of an hour. The absolute, if you were some sort of robot whiz, you could do it on the dot in an hour. But like,
well, you can speed up the footage to 2 or 3 times as you're editing, and then you might just about get it done in an hour or less.
I'm not smart. so I didn't.
Well,
do
you
that.
just haven't. No one showed you the perfect
True.
way of doing it. If you
Yeah.
use like DaVinci Resolve, you can change the project playback speed
Mm.
temporarily, and everything will play back at that faster rate.
Yeah.
And if you can get the vibe of the spacing and the dynamics of it while watching it at 1.5 or 2 times speed, or because you're just entering a number of how many frames per second you want to watch back at, it's not going to change the final product. That can allow you to kind of squeeze it in better. But again, you kind of sacrifice how like, am I able to actually gauge the timing between cuts? And so you do your fast cut and then you can do your slow cut, and the more you do it, the more you learn, right? But I don't do YouTube anywhere near as much because I prefer the in the moment as well.
I think it feels more real as well when you do something and someone's there. You know, I enjoy just writing stuff on Twitch, you know, just
it's
like
so good, isn't
ideas.
it?
Yeah, because you can turn out some absolute garbage, but I think it gets you okay with, and I think more musicians need it, where it gets you with that okay with the idea that, like, I don't know if you've ever sat down and gone and felt that pressure of like, I'm going to turn out the best thing now.
Well, that's going to make it the worst. There's actually an amazing thing from Victor Wooten where he talked about, I don't know if you know the bassist Victor Wooten, but like he has this amazing mindset where he went to like Berkeley or something, or to some school to judge like the best soloist competition. And he designed it in a way where no one would really know what would happen. They just knew that they would do their solos and then there would be an interval and then something would happen. So they all do their solos, all the students, and it's quite tight. You know, everyone's really focusing. Good music is being played, but something's missing. Anyway, interval happens and he says, right, now I want you to do the worst solo you've ever done on the spot. I want it to be as bad as it can be. I want to make it funny bad. Let's just have fun with seeing who can play, and the challenge is who can do the worst one. And the process that happened there was everyone who played did something kind of hilarious and emotive, and everyone was laughing, and actually amazing music was getting played by accident because the focus was doing the worst thing possible. And then they ended up not judging who did the best soloist, but judging themselves on which one was better, the great one or the terrible one. And basically the terrible one won every time because people had experienced something. So I actually go in with the purpose of like, I really hope something goes wrong, because then it'll push me into a space that challenges me and I have to kind of fix it. And those are the takes I keep in the recordings as well. That's the moment where something happened that has some kind of emotional interest for me anyway. So you can't come into it going, it's got to be great. You're literally stopping good greatness from happening by, and again, your conscious mind isn't trusting your subconscious to do its thing. So, and if that's resonating with anyone, I've got 2 books for you. One of them is Victor Wooten's The Music Lesson. Audiobook is incredible. People should listen to that and study that before they ever start music theory or music education of any kind. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey, but holy hell, that will free you. That will free your mind. That will get rid of basically all of the issues, depending on how much it resonates with you, of course. The other one is The Inner Game of Tennis, which is a lot of these ideas of like your conscious mind not trusting your subconscious. At the end of the day, it's all about a game of tennis. There is an inner game of music I haven't checked out, but the tennis one I really liked. The analogy of you're trying to play the best tennis game you can, and if your brain's trying to tell yourself to do this particular kind of thing, it's going to make it worse. The better you're trying to be, the worse it's going to be. And if you do it really well, you can then also be like, well, the next one I've got to do is got to be as good. And that makes it worse again.
I hate that feeling.
It's all about locking the conscious mind out of the room and saying no squares allowed. And that's what's happening, where there's no lock on the door, but the conscious mind's taken a stroll and the subconscious is left to do its job. And it's also like asking a chef to make you a salad, or telling the chef, yes, but the lettuce has to be a cubic, like a square centimeter per shard. Actually, which knife are you using? That's a stupid knife. How is this supposed to look good if you're using that knife? Like, no one goes into a kitchen and talks to a chef like that. So why do we do it to ourselves? But we're not aware that we've got this one-sided conversation. And it's literally, if you can imagine it as one person talking to this, in every single case, that subconscious is a wonderful person who just wants to be appreciated for what they can do. Or it's a wonderful conglomerate of beings or whatever it is inside us. And if it's just this asshole yapping at this, but they don't deserve it. And this person's getting pissed off for no reason. This is all in here. So that book is great and again, never finished that book because I just got the idea from it, and that sent me offline. But the music lesson, you should finish it. But like, if any of this is resonating with you, and this is stuff that people don't normally talk about with you, and it means something to you, then definitely just give it a 2-minute chance. You can't really go wrong with that. Audible do a free trial. It's wonderful. I got into Audible because of that, and now I listen to things like that on my drives. And when I'm like setting up a drum kit, I'll just put on it's like podcasts. If you like this kind of long form, that audiobook is just like mandatory. I'm going to say it's mandatory viewing because it is.
I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of this.
Yeah. Well, like let people. It's almost better if people go, I liked the little conversation about that, and now I really like the idea of there being a long form of that. If it didn't mean anything to you, that short bit, fine, it's cool. You've got your thing. Everyone should appreciate that in each other. But if you did like it, just like if you did like that 5-minute piece of music, there's an album that you'll really love, and it's only worth listening to that album if you liked the snippet.
Yeah. I sort of speaking of as a because I feel like I do feel obliged to do something musical, not do something actual musical. I'm not going to ask you to play anything. Go write me a song, please. No, go on. You could. So in terms of your, is there anything new lately, drum wise or just music wise, that's made you go like, oh, that was interesting in your own playing or in someone else's? Is there anything new you've clocked recently?
Saw something on the Evans Drumheads Instagram today that I loved. And it was the floor tom. Someone had put a hi-hat stand through the batter head of a floor tom and they're playing it, but as they push the pedal down, they're pulling the head inwards and tensioning it. Oh. So they're going like boom, 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 and it was like it's like tabla but on steroids, and it's really distorted sounding. Can't remember the drummer's name. I'm gonna be watching that back again. It's on Evans Drumhead's shorts on Instagram, and
while you're describing that, I'll have a very quick look so I can give them a well worth shout.
Yeah, do it, because I was just looking at it. My AR Adam Keys at the Adario that I was chatting to.
Hersey.
Is that the one? Yeah.
So.
Greg, what was his name? Greg Hersey?
I believe he's got a big floor tom in the middle. And it's
you can see the hi-hat stand poking through it. That's genius. Like, I love that because it sounds kind of like tabla as well, where you're pushing into it with your. And I have a lot of love for South Indian classical, Carnatic and conical, and talking your drums. It's a wonderful process. So yeah, that's something. There's always something though. But a lot of the time I'm a happy accident results in something that's cool. More in my playing, I feel like it's kind of gotten stale, so I'm looking for things to get me excited about it again, because if I'm excited, then I think my playing becomes more exciting.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. I think I spent so long trying to avoid inspiration because I thought I don't want to just sound like them. I don't want to just sound like that person. And I realized that, like, I'm never going to anyway. I mean, if I were to just purely play one person's stuff all the time, I might sound a bit like them, but I don't do that. Like,
you got to pick something up from it, right?
Yeah, like if I were to go and learn all of, say, 5 bands' back catalogue somehow, I think I'd probably sound like me. That would sound like, that would sound like what I, even if I didn't try to sound like me, I'd put my own spin on it in that way. I have considered doing that at times, but I think that might be a lot. Not that.
Yeah, but it's the universe experiencing itself. It's just a cool thought experiment. Anyway, you should do it because it inspires you.
Yeah.
Just because it inspires you.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a good it's kind of a good place possibly to kind of to call it, because I think
I've actually looking at the time. I've got some stream prep and things I've got to do with monuments, and I've got to fit in
not too long.
Ooh, I got to fit in a lunch to that as well. But it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you, and I just hope anyone's listening's enjoyed. What's going on. Please do check out Joe's other stuff, because he's a good lot of fun to chat to. Clearly, I'm not the host here, but here I am telling you to enjoy it. And if you've enjoyed,
go on.
No, it's all right. If you've enjoyed what I've got going on, then check out some more stuff of it. I'd love to see you around in a Twitch stream or in a comment somewhere. I love the conversation, so yeah, drop by sometime.
I was about to say you're welcome to plug some of your shit, but there you go.
Thanks. Well, yeah, there's new monuments coming out in this moment, which is February 2022. So if it's later than that, then things have probably already come out.
I've not figured a schedule just yet.
Doesn't really matter, but we filmed it in February. Cardinal Red just came out, which is our Monuments brand new single. It's got a video. More stuff is coming out for In Stasis, the album that comes out on April 15th. We're doing lots of stuff related to that on Twitch. We have shows planned that we're not haven't announced yet because COVID's difficult. So yeah, if that's already out, then awesome. Hope you enjoyed it. If it isn't out yet, then please go check it out. And if you like the sound of the singles, then consider throwing a pre-order. It supports the band loads. Also, constant awesome merch coming out, which supports us greatly, but only if it means something to you. If it doesn't, go support something that really inspires you and just have a great day because of that. Ultimately, that's the best thing you can do.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I will.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, and I hope to catch you soon.
Yeah, man, for sure. Hopefully, I'll catch you as well back in. What was your Twitch handle again?
Joe Rowley 97.
It is just your name as well. So okay, then I will definitely check it. I think I'm on stream either with Monuments or myself. We could have worked that out in 35 minutes. So yeah, we'll find that out. But I'll look forward to seeing you around. And yeah, again, thanks for having me as part of the thing. Keep doing what you're doing and enjoy the music and enjoy the climbing.
Wicked. I will.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Catch you soon, man.
Take care of yourself, man. See ya.